UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the United Federation of Podcast Network. I'm your host for today, Brandon Shea-Mutella, and joining me are my co-hosts, Chrissie and Justin. How are you today? How are you doing, Chrissie?
Pretty good.
Excellent. How's your back?
Oh, usual, I got scholars back from leaning over the books and copying so much,
Yeah, okay. Well, I expect you to, I'm giving you the task. Every time you talk today, you're going to need to tell us about your back and how it hurts every time you start talking, okay?
I can do that.
Excellent. Justin, how are you doing today?
My name's Gene, actually.
Oh, Gene. I already forgot that.
Oh.
All right,
I guess I'll go by Justin if that's good enough for you. Yeah?
Excellent, yes.
Yeah.
Justin, I just wanted to tell you that you can't make iced tea with a pound of bacon and 6 gallons of motor oil.
Okay, noted.
Yeah, something my grandma told me. I don't know why it's relevant, but it's just some nonsensical thing I'm just going to throw in right now.
Come on, at least when Tilly said it was 2 food items. That is not 2 food items.
That's true.
Awesome. Well, we're off to a great start today, and we have a very special guest who I'm honored to introduce. Star Trek author, Star Wars author, plus author of numerous other things, John Jackson Miller. Thank you so much for joining us today. We truly appreciate you making the time to come and speak with us.
I'm definitely glad to be here.
You know what's awesome about this is that, so we didn't know anything about what's coming up, but Georgiou was pretty big in this episode.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that awesome? We got the man himself who wrote the Georgiou discovery novel, Die Standing, that came out last summer. So you probably have some opinions on Georgiou.
I do. I think I tweeted something along the lines of, no, it was actually on Keith DeCandido's post about the episode. I said this is like a reunion, except it'd be one of those reunions where you don't get the damage deposit back on the dining hall. I have to say I absolutely lucked out in picking this episode to talk about because A, she's in it, and actually that's not lucky. I kind of knew that.
Okay.
But lucked out in the sense that I think it's actually the best episode I've seen, which is
of the show.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
I was just delighted by it, and so and of course, there's elements in there. Obviously, you've got Georgiou, from Die Standing. But also you have the premise, or one of the premises from Enterprise War, with trying to get the ship that's crash landed off the planet.
That's true.
And in fact, I think that, again, that was where that was what prompted my comment on Keith's board, because I think Chris Bennett had said, can a starship really get back off of a planet after it's crash landed in the a ship from the 23rd century, and it's like we did that over here.
This is old news.
No, and he knows that because he's read it. The thing though is, as he would point out, and I readily admit, when we did it, I gave the crew 6 months in which to do it, and so it wasn't like overnight.
And
that's
true.
And also, I ran the whole thing past an expert, a scientist who I said, I need to make sure this can work, and so everything about the procedural about how they get off the planet is right there in the book. But again, it's a novel, and you've got more room, you got more time, you've got you can get into the procedural part of things, and whereas TV movies, it's not about that.
Excellent.
Unless you're watching The Martian.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, before we jump into the episode discussion, we do have a little news to cover. And speaking of the books, we just got an announcement yesterday that we're very excited that's coming along. There is a new Picard-era novel coming called The Dark Veil. And the cover was released yesterday as well, and that's what I woke up to yesterday morning, so I was pretty stoked about that. Friend of the show, James Swallow, has written this novel. He's written some Discovery novels and as well. He wrote the Saru novel, if I'm correct. I'm pretty sure he wrote the Saru novel. And it's going to be a story that focuses on Riker and Troy during the Mars attacks. So I'm guessing that we're going to get a little bit of mentions of the boy who died, Thad.
Yeah, presumably he'll be on the ship. I think. Right. Would he be on? I don't know. Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe we'll have ourselves a Boimler reference.
Possibly.
That'd be pretty cool. Right on.
Yes.
So, Chrissie, what do you think of this? What did you think of this news?
This is great. I am looking forward to reading it. I'm glad that they're going to start fleshing out that in-between time. Mm-hmm. Of course, this is going to create... We now have 2 timelines of novels, but I think we can handle that.
Yeah.
Technically 3 with the Kelvin ones now, so...
Yeah. With Kelvin ones. See, here's the thing, okay? So, Dayton Ward and David Mack are always online telling people, look, we have a plan with the novels. This can be it. Like, this can be the novel that starts to bridge the gap between, because we got Riker on the Titan. John, you're on here. You're a novelist. I trust the novelists to do the best job that they can. Like, this is also a wonderful coincidence. We have John on here right now to talk about this, right? But I mean, like, we can get references to Tuvok. Yeah. We can get references to Vale. This can explain why Vale wasn't on screen when we saw the ship at the end of Lower Decks, right? Maybe we can talk about that, because in the novels, like a few spoilers for the novels, Riker's actually an admiral later on, right? He's in charge of the ship, but Christine Vale ends up becoming the captain. So they can kind of tie that in somehow and do some explaining here. And I trust the authors to do it. I think they're going to do a good job. And I think that this is going to be the beginning of what Dayton Ward and David Mack keep telling the readers on Twitter and stuff, that they have a plan. So, Justin, what do you think?
Oh, I was very excited about this news. I think I found it out from you yesterday morning, which is great. So, I mean, first of all, I've read almost all the Titan novels. I'm just missing one I haven't read yet, and I love them. I mean, it's basically might be my favorite novel series, along with Corps of Engineers. The crew's diverse. There's lots of great characters. Like you said, Brandon, there are characters that have been built up in those novels, like Vale and continuing on with Tuvok. And I made a note of some other ones, like Dr. Ree and Ailey Lavina, and like there's all these great different species and alien characters I hope that are in there, or there's some reference or something. But clearly, with what's happening in this novel, this is the novel with what's happened in Picard, which doesn't involve what happened in Destiny and all of that. So it's split off somewhat. But I'm just excited for new novels, and James Swallow's a great writer. Like, I mean, I don't know, they're all great writers, but like, I'm just really excited to see kind of what that becomes. And I was coming to the end of the Titan novels, and I'm like, oh, there might be no more, but now here's another one. So it's just really exciting. Right. Yeah.
Awesome. John, I don't know how much you're able to speak on this, like with NDAs and what you know about this, but did you have anything you want to say on this topic?
Well, I mean, if you look back at, just Die Standing, the most recent novel I did, there are references to characters from all 3 versions in the comics and the novels of what happened to the Farragut. There's the Christopher Claremont version that was in Dead of Honor. The medical chief of Farragut is actually seen in the comics in that graphic novel.
Oh no!
Well, that guy is that guy is the character that Dax encounters on Farragut. Dr. I think it's Ananke, and then. And there's a nod or a wink to the fact that in that story the Farragut gets attacked again after she would have left. But then you also have 2 other stories. One was one of the Shatnerverse novels where he put the encounter with the evil cloud actually on the surface of the planet, and he names a number of crew members and some are casualties. And then there was a third version of it somewhere where it's aboard the ship, and they again some people are mentioned. Well, characters from all of those are mentioned in my version of events, and I tiptoed very carefully to have it all fit. And the thing is, nobody pretends that all the comics really happen. Nobody necessarily has to act like anything before Destiny is part of the mix. I do it because it's fun. I that's why when I did Enterprise War, I populated the bridge of Pike's Enterprise with just about everybody, or not just about everybody, but rather characters from just about every version of the Pike stories that we had seen. Nobody told me you had to do that. Nobody told me I couldn't do it. It's fun, and as far as how all this stuff syncs together or whatever. Well, I remember talking about when Star Wars made its change 6 years ago, where I kind of had a ringside seat because my novel A New Dawn was the first novel in kind of the official novel continuity, and was looking at various different ways to run these parallel timelines, or to integrate things or not integrate things. And of course, one of them, with Star Trek, you already had the movie universe, you already had the Abrams verse, the Kelvin universe, which wasn't called that yet. So you have that option, or had that option in Star Trek, because you've got alternate realities, you've got time travel, you've got stuff that wasn't available to Star Wars. What Star Wars more or less went with is kind of the Marvel route, and kind of the James Bond route, which is James Bond. We all saw the movie Skyfall, I hope. Skyfall makes it clear that a lot of the stuff that happened to the previous James Bonds also happened to Daniel Craig, but not necessarily all of it, and not necessarily all in the same order. And it's as Star Wars, when they came up with the phrase legends, what they said was, with legends, part of them are true, but not necessarily all of them. And we pick and we choose what we want. It's like King Arthur. It's like Robin Hood. There are things that are correct and things that are not. And kind of the way I approach all these franchises now, not just Star Wars, Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, whatever it happens to be. I approach them all as if the works that have been done in addition to the TV shows and the movies, the ancillary properties, I kind of approach them like they're role-playing game guides. Okay. And I'm a dungeon master. Nice. They're part of the lore. They're part of the story milieu that you can build on. That you can pluck parts of. And indeed, that's actually how the Star Wars expanded universe really got going in their case, because there hadn't been any comics or novels in 3 or 4 years for Star Wars after Return of the Jedi. West End Games gets the license to do the West End role-playing game for the Star Wars role-playing game. And when it came time to do novels again with Timothy Zahn doing Heir to the Empire, they sent him a stack of the role-playing books. And so that's where dozens of things, which are now, in the actual movies and cartoons and TV shows, came from. Nice. And so things feed back the other direction. And again, we've got things feeding back the other direction with Star Trek. I mean, obviously, Kayla Detmer gets her name from the novels. Sulu gets his name from the books. Uhura too. And one of the cool things is that with these books, with the last 2 Discovery books I did, I was working with Kirsten Beyer. So there was a two-way street there. There was both me getting to know some of the things that would be relevant to me, and then also me being able to play on things and drop hints and things that would come up in the next season. And
Nice.
of course, the problem always is we're not able to talk about the next season, as you say, or whatever it is. Are there things in season 3 of Discovery that you will go back and reread Die Standing, for example, and say, oh, maybe?
Nice.
I guess I wouldn't be able to say.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I want to add something, Brendan, before we go off this topic. So
Yeah.
I think in the article, James Swallow was quoted and he said, longtime fans of the Titan novels will notice some differences, but also see some familiar faces. So I think it'll be like a mix. Like we'll see some that we've seen before, but others, there'll be different characters in those roles, I think. Yeah.
They're not going to be able to reconcile the kids. So that's going to be one big change.
That will be different. There will not be a Natasha Troy Riker, presumably. Yeah.
Natasha could have decided to change her name.
Oh, I see.
Natasha could be trans. That's possible.
Kids and character deaths and marriages, that's always the most dangerous possible stuff for anybody who's working in a tie-in to deal with.
Right.
I mean, it's in terms of you either have to be really sure nothing else is coming along, and in fact, there were many occasions where we were really sure nothing else was coming along. We thought George Lucas was done twice. Each time he came back and got interested again, and that caused. Because Luke Skywalker had gotten married. Luke and Leia had both, started families separately, and then of course we get to the actual movies coming along, and all of the really good stuff, the sequel movies, all the really good stuff had already been used. In terms of giving Abrams again the ability to actually do something interesting. Well, how do you tell people watching these new movies that Han and Leia had 2 kids and one of them killed the other, and then there was a third, and then there was a whatever. What are you gonna do? You're gonna put that in the opening crawl?
Yeah. Sometimes there's so much that happens in novels you just can't get it into the show. Like what's happened in the post Nemesis novels, it's way too much to ever reconcile with what's on screen.
Look, there's no reason that if you wanted to hold these stories sort of in headcanon, you couldn't. Riker could have been an admiral for a while, and then he could have taken a demotion if they're calling him a captain again, or whatever. Because I think he's a captain in the
big thing in Picard that's not reconcilable with the novels is the Borg are still around in some form, whereas in Destiny they're gone. And we just don't see them again, these things are not hard. Okay.
These things are not hard. I do not suspect for a minute that it would take any time at all for any creator that wanted to reconcile these things.
You're telling me you're working on a novel to reconcile that? Okay.
I've got. I'm sitting here looking at the snow starting to fall outside, and I'm saying to myself, "Oh my gosh, I need to find where my shovel is."
Excellent. Well, then I don't think I mentioned the title yet. So the title of the book is going to be called The Dark Veil, and it should be out in January, as far as we know. So right near the end of Discovery, and we're kind of excited because spoilers. We've actually already booked James Swallow to come on for episode 7 of this show. And we didn't know that the book was coming, so we might try and sneak a couple of questions in when he's here. But
we will.
We will. Yeah, we will. Who am I kidding? So awesome. Excellent. So, and then it's nothing major, just some small news. So it looks like Star Trek is going to be going to some virtual sets in the same way that The Mandalorian did. So this is pretty cool because the sets on The Mandalorian looked really good. And, most of the time I couldn't tell that they were on a stage, and I think they did a pretty fantastic job. So I think this opens up possibilities. I think that might be negative, if we were going to try and continue along with what they did in this episode that we'll be talking about, because I think there's some stuff in this episode that you can't duplicate digitally, so that's got some positives and some negatives, but so we'll look.
It means less location shooting like they've done for the first 2 episodes of Discovery, and then when they went to Jordan for the first couple episodes of season 1. So we may not get as much of that, but I'm kind of excited by the possibilities.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, let's move on to our general discussion on the episode here. So this is Discovery Season 3, Episode 2, Far From Home. Now, John, before we get into this, I want to ask, if you love this episode so much, have you now changed your Twitter handle to JJM Far From Home?
The fact is, my website, Faraway Press, and the Faraway and that. Actually, that has nothing to do with Star Wars. I know people always think it does. It actually comes from Uncle Scrooge. I had a comic book review column in Comics Buyer's Guide, and previous to that, I had a comic strip called Faraway Looks, Uncle Scrooge would either get a faraway look either when he was thinking about his fortune or when he was thinking about Glittering Goldie, the one that got away years and years ago. Nice. So that was a phrase I just been using forever. And then I did a small press comic book called Faraway Looks, about 3 college students who never leave the front of the TV set, and that was my first semi-professional comic book before I went and worked for Marvel the next year.
Nice.
It's I get that question a lot, but I will tell you that I think JJM Far From Home probably wouldn't fit as a handle. I'm not sure they only give you like 15 characters, right? So.
Awesome. Well, we've kind of got your initial impressions on the episode there already, John. So, Chrissy, what are your initial impressions on the second episode? And then tell us about your back.
I enjoyed the episode a great deal. And actually, speaking of that, it was nice to see people who were should be in pain under the circumstances actually be in pain. I mean, I don't want to see them in pain, but to not have some kind of, wave the magic light over it and fix it is nice. They're human. God's forbid we understand them to be that. So I think it laid a good groundwork for the rest of the season. I, like you, was hoping it'd be a few episodes before we got the reconnected, but that's okay.
Yeah. Justin?
Yeah, so this was interesting because I know last week I really loved the episode, and this week I love it too. Like on a first watch, I was just kind of seeing, okay, like what's going on, where are they, when are they, and just kind of trying to pay attention to that. And as I was watching it, it didn't feel like I liked it quite as much as the last one, even though I really liked it. But then I rewatched it today, and I just love it because I think that there's a lot of really great character interactions. The interactions between Saru and Tilly are some of my favorite things that I've seen in all of Discovery. There's also some, really interesting stuff we have with Georgiou and Detmer and Wosakan and Bryce. Like there's more of the bridge crew, and you're getting a feel of kind of what's going on with them. And you see, Reno and Nan and like I felt like they. And Stamets and Culber, I felt like they really kind of distributed the time when they had those scenes on the Discovery amongst them. I love Saru as a captain. He's really kind of come into his own. I just thought like it was a great episode. And I know you referenced, Chrissy, the end where Michael comes in, which I like when that happened, I wasn't sure. I was like, are they going to do that soon? Is it somebody else? What's going on? But I'm actually happy because it, like, for me, it just made me happy to see them kind of finally get together and we can move forward with that. And you could tell Sonequa Martin Green has, 30 seconds or something like that, but the expressions on her face and how she feels, I just love that. It made me smile and happy. So I really love this episode as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Excellent. So for me, my first initial watch of the episode, I was kind of like, meh, yeah.
That was your exact reaction in our chat. You were like, meh. And I was like, oh no.
Meh. Yeah. And I'm like, whatever. And then I watched it a second time, and I'm like, I had thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? There's actually some really good stuff in here that I like. And by the time this morning I watched it with Aubrey, it was my 4th watch. And this is the reason why I watch it 4 times, is because it does one of two things. It either changes my opinion or solidifies my opinion on an episode. You know, and you know, when I watched the last 2 episodes of Picard, I watched it 4 times, and it solidified why I did not like those episodes. It helped me focus. It helped me understand what didn't work for me in those 2 episodes. And watching this episode this time, it really helped me to take in the episode more and absorb more of what I was seeing and really enjoy it for what it was. And I'm probably at the point now where I think this is better than last week's episode as well. This episode really has some outstanding stuff in it, and I really, truly love it. There's some really cringeworthy dialogue in here for me that I find annoying, but I mean, I get past that, and I love
They write
the
that
episode
just for you.
a
They
whole
write
heck
those
of a lot.
lines
They
just for
might.
you.
I don't know. They might. I mean, like, so
That's good.
Without getting too much into it here, because I want to come back to these characters. Like, so Tig Notaro isn't working for me. And I mean, I only know Tig Notaro from this. This is all that I know of her. Okay. And so I'm in another chat group with somebody, and I said, what I don't like about Tig Notaro is that she's so dry and sarcastic. And somebody's like, well, that's Tig Notaro. And I'm like, okay, well then I guess I just don't like Tig Notaro. You know, like, I love Patti Smith as a singer, and I played somebody Patti Smith's cover of Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit. And Patti Smith starts doing her Patti Smith ramblings and her writings and whatnot. And he's like, I like the song except for that. And I'm like, but that's Patti Smith, right? So, you know, I love Patti Smith and I like that. So it's sometimes there's just an artist where that's their thing and you just don't like that thing, you know? So while I did enjoy seeing a new pairing and getting time with Stamets and Tig Notaro together, and I like that kind of thing, I'm just not a big fan of Tig Notaro. So, which I can be fine with. I'm fine with that. So,
I've become a bigger fan as I've gone along, because I didn't really know much of her before she started appearing in Discovery Season 2. But like, as it's gone along, I'm like, okay, like, what's going on here I find really interesting, and I'm enjoying it. And I actually had a chance to listen to, she was interviewed on the official Star Trek podcast, The Pod Directive. And like, I was listening to that, and it's a hilarious interview because, for me at least, she's just kind of going through this like in her dry way. And she's like, I felt like I was terrible. Like, I couldn't do it, but Alex Kurtzman loved it. So I guess I'll keep doing it, but I feel bad. Like, I don't know. There was just something about like the self-deprecating way that she was in that interview that even reinforced it for this week. Like, I kind of like what's going on. There's nothing like too fancy about it. It's just like, here I am, like it or not. So I've liked her more over time.
Well, I don't know how old everybody is here, but I'm imagining you all didn't watch Next Generation as it came out.
Not really. Season 6 is when I started, so
I saw it start to finish, but I don't remember the whole thing.
I'm old enough, but I wasn't aware of it at the time.
When you saw it from start to finish, particularly the start, did you already know who Whoopi Goldberg was?
When I got into the show, I did, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody, at least, you know, I was in college, so we all had seen many things with Whoopi Goldberg in it by that point. And we all were going for the first 3 years. You know, maybe she starts to actually go on her own with a lot. The character takes off for people really with Yesterday's Enterprise, but still for a very long time, the viewer is going, that's Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
That's Whoopi Goldberg, and she seems to be in her own show. But this is kind of, you know, going to be the case with anybody who says they want to be in the show, whatever it happens to be. You know, Samuel L. Jackson, give me a purple lightsaber. You know, for a good while you're going, okay, this is still this other, you know, this person brings baggage to a show. In terms of, we already know that actor from other things they do, or this comedian from other things they do, that we don't get with a lot of the other characters who are appearing for the first time or something like that. And it just takes a while for that character usually to get stuff written for them so that you know, they can go independently. I think this was the character's best episode to date. Again, by pairing her with Stamets, and the characters all kind of go off in pairs in this, and they actually tell you that.
Yeah, it's an order from Saru. Pair off.
and I think that's the way to do it. That's the way to handle this kind of a big cast, and I think that really helps, because otherwise, you only see the character when in Whoopi's case, when you go to 10 forward.
It's so interesting you say that, because, the first time I really saw TNG wasn't all that long ago. It was about 10 years ago. And I was very, very aware of Whoopi Goldberg, had seen her in lots of stuff. But I think fairly right away, I was able to divorce that and be like, oh, okay, this is Guinan. This is this kind of species or character, at least for me at that time, which was much, much later.
Well, that's good. It was just one of those things, as it was coming out.
Okay.
You were kind of aware of it. For example, I can't even remember the name of the episode, but it was the one where they're stuck in the time warp, and we see Morgan Bates and the
cause and effect.
Cause and effect, and there is not a person in my audience that I was in my generation that did not say Fraser Crane.
Right.
Fraser Crane is in space.
Yes,
and obviously they didn't give him enough anything to create a character there, and it felt like a stunt moment.
I happened by the sound stage, and I guess I would be in this. I
fell in this outfit.
Well, it's all Paramount. But I think that's kind of what a character like that, who is played by somebody who is well known already for playing another personality or something like that. They just need to get more screen time. They need stuff written specifically for them, and interactions with other characters. I think
just so you know, Brandon, I don't think she'll be in every episode with the Discovery.
I don't think so either. No.
In that interview, she was like, "Yeah, I just pop by every once in a while, and that's what I like to do." So yeah.
But it's interesting, because what you're saying is, John, is you're talking about how people come with the baggage of the character, and I mean, I've got a friend that I know who still can't divorce Christopher Lloyd from his Taxi role, and so that's his problem with Star Trek 3.
That's a lot of people have that problem,
right? Yeah. But I mean, I don't know Tig Notaro from anything, so I don't have any preconceptions of her. And I mean, I'm not much for comedy. For me, the height of comedy is Mr. Bean. I think Mr. Bean.
What do you mean?
Come
on, you were telling us. I think every week you were laughing more at Lower Decks than I did.
That's different. Okay. What I mean by comedy is what I was going to get to is that I've only seen one stand-up comedy special, and that was for Wanda Sykes, and that's because I loved her so much.
Wait. Hold on. You've seen one in your life?
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of comedy.
It's like, what?
This is horrifying.
I don't know how many dozens I've seen.
Yeah, me too.
I don't watch a lot of them, right?
What's wrong with you?
And I loved Wanda Sykes and Curb Your Enthusiasm, so that's why I watched it, right? So, anyways,
sorry, you're just blowing my mind. I can't adjust to this. One in your life,
I've seen parts of them. I've seen parts of the Robin Williams ones, and I've seen parts of the Russell Peters ones and stuff. But I just don't watch a lot of comedy, stand-up comedy. That's just not my thing, right?
I've seen George Carlin in concert 3 times. Alan King, Bob Newhart. I live on a different street than you do.
I love that.
Excellent. Okay, so I'll jump back and then back forward again here. So I want to get it out of the way, because I do want to focus on the positive of this episode. So I do want to call right out here at the beginning that the couple of the dialogues that I had a problem with, and then your guys' take on it, okay? So there's 4 of them, and they're from 4 different characters, so it's not limited to one person. Okay. So aside from the gazpacho line, Hugh Culber's t-shirt line didn't work for me. Georgiou's, this is like reading an obituary backwards. When Tilly's like, my name lacks authority. What? And then knee plus ultra. Those 4 things, I rolled my eyes on every one of them. So it's all over the place. It's not limited to one character. I mean, I've said in the past, it's the biggest problem I have with Discovery is a lot of the dialogue. So, John, what do you think of the dialogue? Tell me I'm wrong.
I don't remember the context for some of these things. I remember thinking the obituary backwards line. I like that.
Yep.
It's the way her mind works. She's very much operating on a different level above everybody else, and so it's not out of the question to me that she's already having 3 meta conversations with herself about things.
she almost lives her life like it's a theater performance, right? It's
Oh.
very dramatic.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, and that's how I you know, that's in a sense that's how I you know wrote you know, was writing the book, was the Die Standing was she has only herself to please. She has only herself to please. She has only herself to entertain. You know, she comes from a world in which being, you know, a solipsist, being self-centered is
she's
what you're
she's
taught.
a narcissist, basically.
You're not rewarded for anything else. You know, I thought when she makes her appearance in the you know, the tavern or what have you there, the showdown, it just crackles. And I'll say that we haven't mentioned to this point, but I guess the character's name is Zara or something like that. It's Jake Weber's character. I know Jake Weber from, he was the husband in Medium, and he was The Mind of the Married Man. I saw on HBO years ago. He's been in a lot of different stuff. He always plays sort of the you know, you know, Ron Silver kind of you know, slick attorney character who's just a little bit on the shady side. I thought he just was amazing here. I love a smart villain, somebody who is 2, 3, 4 steps ahead, and who is just you know, I love that this script and the choices they made in this episode was just a leap past 3 or 4 of the other, what, you guys are from the past? Right. No, it's like, oh, you guys are from the past. That you know, it really tells us something about this century that they're living in, that you know, you think what you guys went through to get here is weird. Weird is what we live with every day here. You know, we've got, you know, things floating in the sky and all sorts of stuff, and we've got a burn, and we've got everything else here. And, you know, you guys are just so I like that kind of smart villain that's above it all. The, you know, the Alan Rickman, Die Hard, you know, Hans Gruber kind of character, and having her collide with, you know, with him at the same time that you've got Saru trying to actually do the right thing and also the responsible thing, and also keep Tilly alive because he knows what's about to happen here. I thought that was just a wonderful scene, and not something you get in most Star Trek.
Excellent. Yeah, so let's do this scene here. Like, I love him as well, Jake Weber. Like, I saw him most recently in one of the later seasons of Homeland, and, you know, I think he's an absolutely fantastic adversary here. And so what we've got is we've got this planet with kind of like a mining operation that we've discovered. This is on the planet that they've crashed on, and Tilly and Saru go to this place to try and do some bartering and trading and whatnot. And these people know who they are. They know they're from Starfleet. And there's this villain who's a trader, as in not a traitor, but a trader. He trades goods. And I'm guessing he's the same kind of delivery person as Book was. Like, he maybe works for the Orions and whatnot.
They did use the same word, courier,
Yeah, courier. And he's taking advantage of these people because they have no way to get off the planet or do any mining because they don't have any dilithium. So he's taking advantage of their situation by bringing them the stuff that they need. And so he wants to take advantage of the Discovery's position by being crashed and to see how he can take advantage of that situation. And we start off with Saru and Tilly kind of going head to head with him, and then Georgiou does come into this. So I love this scene a lot. It's very Western. Like they are going for the Western feel right off the top.
So I don't usually like say something out loud to the TV, but when Zara walked in and he has spurs, I was like, are those spurs? Is that what they're doing? Because that's like, you know, something that was popular like, you know, over 1,000 years ago. But yeah, like they were totally going for the Western feel and like the look and the shots and like all the stuff, you know, and like the whole setup, absolutely.
I think they did that because they wanted to beat Mandalorian to getting a main character on screen with the Spurs, so John gets that reference.
It's not
Chrissy,
laughing.
what'd you think of the scene?
See Mandalorian. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay.
Boba Fett's got Spurs, and he's supposed to be in the second season.
Oh, I never knew that. Okay. Right. I thought it was a very good scene. Again, just like with last week's episode, we're seeing people immediately moving to violence when they are introduced to someone they've never met before.
At least there's a stun setting in this episode, though, apparently, because Giorgio doesn't die.
Yes, and I actually had that down.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, because she should have had, if it's the same setting that what's Cal was his name, got hit with.
Must be a different setting.
Yeah, I mean, that should have blown a hole in her chest, even with her enjoyment of pain.
Or else they're protected by temporal particles because of the warp field and the nanobots.
Well, it's
Sure,
the special like mirror physiology that you get from being in that universe.
There you go.
You can take
Because she's from the mirror universe. There you go.
There you go.
101 explanations.
How we don't know for sure whether the other natives on this planet are human.
That's
either.
true.
Mm-hmm. Well, these guys were Corridans, which we saw in Enterprise as well. So yeah.
How do we know that the Corridans we saw in Enterprise were human?
Well, technically, they're all human, but
The actors, yes. But I mean, the aliens.
maybe
They're aliens. The Corridans were founding members of the Federation. They were one of the alien species.
Yeah.
So. Mm-hmm.
The way I look at it is, there's any explanation. I mean, maybe they live under a red sun instead of a yellow sun.
That's good.
Excellent.
It did seem to have a stun setting, though, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, this scene was really good. And talking about this scene as a whole, I got to tell you guys that I'm really looking forward to something here, okay, as well. So we talked about it last week as well, right? And we've talked about it on previous discussions of Discovery. So I loved Tilly in season 1. I didn't like her as much when they kind of let her loose with the comedy. But what I see in this episode is I see them starting to write a change arc for Tilly. She's going through something. She's having a tough time. And I see this as a character growing moment.
Yes.
And we're going to see a lot of change for the Tilly character this season. And I'm looking forward to this so very much.
Yeah, I noticed that as well because it was more like acknowledging her nervousness, her anxiety. And in previous episodes and seasons, of course, of Discovery, when Tilly's kind of like talked a lot and been kind of excited about something or fearful about something, people have told her to stop talking. But Saru said, no, keep talking. I want to hear what you have to say. It's important. So that was also a marker for, Saru's character as well. Like emphasizing again, he's respectful of all the crew members. He believes in the ideals of the Federation and all of that. So I thought about that as well, Brendan, because I know you've had trouble with her being kind of comic relief, and she was not in this episode. It was more acknowledging she has real anxieties, but someone was there trying to respect and support her in the form of Saru, which was great. Yeah.
Watching with my daughter this morning, she turned to me and she's like, "Tilly's my favorite character."
Aww.
So I love that. I think that's good, and I'm that's wonderful. So
yeah. I think that was a definite change. Yeah.
Excellent. So, John, what do you think, Tilly?
I would say pretty much what you've said there. I mean, it's the characters will catch on, and then they'll get more written for them, and that happens. And I think that one of the different things, obviously, about this episode is it pairs her up with a character instead of Burnham to reflect her emotions back to her. And so this is a character conveying her fears with a kind of character who is grew up with fear in Saru. So I think that anytime you juggle what characters are with what other characters, that's always good.
Chrissy?
Yeah, I liked it. It was the idea that Saru has an understanding of anxiety, an understanding of fear. He says, I would never ask anyone to not be afraid. That's huge compared to what we see in a lot of the other series. It's like, you got to just, be brave and take care of it. And there's only the fear is only addressed if it's part of the plot line. Now, admittedly, it might be here too, but that's it's a little more natural.
But he uses some nuance for the different situations, because as they're walking, he's like, it's okay for you to be afraid. And then as they actually get there, he's like, I know you're afraid, but I'm just going to ask you to contain it for a little bit just for this situation. So he knows well enough to do like what it was wonderful. I felt like Saru's character was just so good in like all the stuff he was doing and all the stuff he was saying. It was very impressive.
The way he encourages Tilly is I love. I want to see. Yeah,
I love the line where he's like, we're introducing ourselves to the future. You and Tilly are a wonderful first impression. That is just like so beautifully like supportive and wonderful, and something you haven't gotten people to explicitly quite say like that. I think Burnham has done that in certain ways, but this is someone actually saying like, you are a good person. You are a good impression for, us bringing our ideals into this future. It's great.
It's good to see her with Saru, like you were saying, and different to bounce off of. But also because her working with Michael is great, and that's a good, it's a fun team. It's a good team. It's done well for both of them. But I don't think Michael can connect with her in the same way that Saru can about some things. Because even though Michael's been through some stuff in her life and has felt very afraid at times and very alone and all of that, she's not super forthcoming with that type of thing. It's more of that's part of who I am, and it's behind me, and then we're going to move forward. And she kind of pushes Tilly toward that at the beginning. Like, okay, go toward your goals. Don't think about how things used to be. Whereas Saru just kind of, he brings that into himself. It's all part of him. And it all informs how he deals with people and how he deals with himself. So I think that's a very good relationship that they're developing there.
I want to say that this is my favorite part of the episode. I don't know that it is, because there is so much great stuff in here. But, Saru, I've loved him since the beginning. He's been my favorite character, but I've loved him even more since the threat ganglia are gone. And I'm really liking this new Saru that we've got here. He's compassionate, and he's encouraging, but he's also firm and strong when he needs to be. And I truly love this new Saru. I tweeted out the other day to Doug Jones, and I'm like, Saru's not going to be taking any more of Giorgio's BS, right? Because he stands up to her twice in this episode, And I really love that. I loved seeing him giving that commanding presence. And this is something that I think we're going to see for a bit, is Giorgio and him button heads a little bit, because Giorgio knows what the Kelpians are. I don't think we're going to see that from any of the other Discovery crew, but I think we're probably going to see this a bit, and I like that. I think that's cool.
But here's a really interesting thing I only thought about on the rewatch, which is that, Saru's butting heads with the mirror Giorgio, right? And we know, of course, from the beginning of Discovery that he was, serving on the Shenzhou under Giorgio, but also from the short trek with Saru, that it was also Giorgio that basically took him away from his planet and into this like Starfleet future. So it must be really odd for him to see this person, like this other form of this person who effectively was like the greatest influence on his life in what she did, right? So like, but for him to just be like, this is a different person, I need to be firm. But like the other thing I thought of was that, like, what happened with Saru in season 2 was really important. He lost the threat ganglia, but he also got the experience of serving with Captain Pike. And I feel like some of what you see in like Pike's way of doing things, Saru learned from that and is using that in this season, or at least it seems that way to me when I think of it.
Yeah,
you guys think that?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, it was really marvelous. And that scene where, what you called out earlier, Chrissy, where he's like, it's okay to be scared, and he's just talking with her. Like, to me, I think like the even extra level on that is because he's a character that understands fear. Yeah. And it doesn't control him like it used to. That, to be there with somebody who's going through fear is a very fascinating dynamic to see on screen.
He's learned from experience. He's not just saying like, okay, don't be fearful. He knows exactly where that's coming from. And so that means so much more when someone's had the same experience that you're having, getting advice from them.
I absolutely, I think and putting the two of them together with her, with the Giorgio, who knows no fear. One of the I don't know if you guys have read Die Standing or not.
Yes, I think we all have.
one of the revelations at the end is pretty much the only thing that she's afraid of is being ordinary. The only thing she's afraid of is that whatever she's embarking on or taking on won't be worth the effort. It won't be worth her time. She's just going to be somebody who's going to be seen by everybody else on the show as alien, which she is. And so this is kind of interesting that these characters can even get somewhat closer to her because functionally within this team, she's Wolverine. She's the character that can go forward and all right. As soon as she walks through the door in this episode, you kind of know, all right, this is settled.
Yeah.
This is, so yeah. I think these interactions are interesting. I think they'll be interesting to watch through the rest of the season.
Yeah. Now, as frustrating as it is to have them not kill Zara at the end of the episode, I'm glad that they haven't because I love Jake Weber so much, and I want to see more of him, and I fully expect him to return. But
I don't think it's frustrating. I think it really does get to the principles that they're doing, although in a certain way there's no functional difference necessarily than putting him out there where they think he'll die. But yeah.
Right. But what I mean is, so it's frustrating because it's like, in one hand, this guy should die for everything that he's done. He just killed this Cal guy for no reason, right? And he tried to kill Georgiou, and he's doing all this bad stuff here to them right there, and they're having a battle in self-defense. Now, at the end when they got him, the fact that Corridon is like, no, on the other hand of this, the fact that other Corridon is like, no, shows that he's buying into the belief of Starfleet. Because Cal kept talking about it. He says, Cal kept talking about Starfleet. He knew you were out there and he believed in whatnot. And so to me, this Cal character was kind of like the beacon of hope in this group of people who are in this terrible situation.
He's the Sahil in this episode in a way, right? Like having the faith of the Federation and that someone's going to come to validate his faith, right?
Yeah. So I like that, and I do like that guy chose to not kill him in revenge.
Yes.
Because that's Federation and Starfleet values, is what I was meaning there. So I thought that was a satisfying conclusion to that, and it leaves the possibility that Jake Weber can come.
Although
back.
you know what, there's one thing I was disappointed in about that scene. So the character, the Corridon, his name is Oser, Osir. I just wanted them to just. ER, guys. Even in Lower Decks, they had the Oser ship. It's like so close, but no. Yes. I'm just kidding, of course, but they're coming so close to my last name and it's not canon yet.
It will be someday.
Someday. I'm not going to beg John to put it in one of his novels. I won't do that.
I could not hear the name Cal in this episode without thinking Superman. So, and it's. Yeah. And actually, I wrote a character named Cal, Kal, in the Star Wars Canto Bight book I did as the main character, and they gave me the name, and I'm like, I'm still going. I feel like I'm on Krypton all this time.
Well, maybe if you're lucky, Justin, they can get Rick Moranis to guest star, and they can give him the character's name of H. Oser.
No, please, no.
God.
Then I won't be able to show my face in front of anybody Canadian.
So getting back to Cal.
Yes,
Cal. Not, yeah. It seemed like the way he talked, the Federation and Starfleet are almost mythical. It's this entity that's out there that we should aspire to being what they are, but they're not quite real. That the other people thought of it as not quite real, but Cal had an understanding of, yes, it is real.
To me, it seemed less of like something that's far out there than in the first episode where Sahil is like, I've been waiting for 40 years to find somebody like you. And in this episode, I felt it was like they knew how to identify a Starfleet ship. Maybe there's some around that they see every once in a while. I don't know. I could be wrong, but to me, it felt like it was a little closer to them than it was to Sahil in that episode or to Book in that episode, first episode. But.
Might have just been the shape. Starfleet ships tend to be very shaped like that, nacelles and a
saucer nacelles must be Starfleet.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
There's something about Starfleet and the shape, absolutely. Because the shape from Halloween used the William Shatner mask.
Inside Out, right? Yeah.
Good timing on that, actually, considering that it's October. So there we go.
Okay, so is there anything else we want to talk about the Cordons in this bar sequence here before we move on to the next topic? We're all good?
Zara reminds me of Negan. I'll just leave that.
I want to say also, because I looked up some of these names because I was kind of curious. For Zara, apparently it's of Armenian origin and can mean either tears or protector, which is kind of interesting. He probably thinks of himself as a protector. And then I think I looked up Cal, and it can mean either hairless or strong. So take of that what you will.
Did you say hairless?
Yeah.
As in without hair?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. At least that's what I found in an online search. I can't vouch for it. But strong, I think, apparently in Finnish it can mean strong. I think that says something about Cal and like who he feels himself to be. But I think a lot of the time these names that they pick are deliberate. But
I'm sure.
Right. Could be.
But that's all I have to say otherwise.
The last on this one then is, so a lot of people have said this, not just me. But I knew at some point that Calypso was going to get connected to this, and somehow, and I think we're going to get more.
I didn't think that it would, but yeah, let's talk about that. Apparently, they have this kind of pidgin language that they speak in, and Zara makes a reference to Vidrash, which is kind of a corruption of Federation, which was used in Calypso. Mm-hmm. I'm still not exactly sure if there'll be more of an association than just dropping that word, because I still feel like Calypso takes place 1,000 years after that because there has to be some time for the ship to sit. But there may be some time travel-y way of something else. I don't know. But I was actually surprised that came in, and you were right. There is a connection, at least indirect so far, but I don't know if it'll be more direct. I don't know.
So this is what I think on this, okay? And this is fine. So I think that they didn't quite know what they were doing with the 900-year time jump at the time that Calypso was written. They knew something was going to happen, and so the reference of them saying the ship was left abandoned for 900 years, I think is going to be one of those things that's not going to end up canonized, like continued on in continuity. I think that they've because they said 900 years, we've jumped 930. I don't think we're going to get another 900 years of the ship by itself. I think that's just a disconnect that just is not going to play out like thousands of other instances in the history of Star Trek.
I don't know about that, because I think I heard an interview recently, and I think at that time that they were making that short trek between seasons 1 and 2, they knew that at some point they wanted to throw the Discovery into the future. They were actually thinking of doing it maybe at the end of season 1, but decided not to do that. I think they knew they were going to do something like that at that time, but
they didn't know how they were going to do it. So leaving it abandoned for 900 years or jumping the future 900 years is the disconnect. It's the time frame. That's what I think. So
okay, we'll see. What do you think, John? Will there be a further connection to Calypso? We shouldn't ask you, because you either know or you don't. So
and actually, more to the point, I don't remember what I know.
Okay, that's a good enough plausible deniability.
That's
but
Chrissy,
I'm one of those people that wasn't terribly enthused with Calypso, because I
love Calypso. It's one of my favorite things. Sorry,
and it's like as a standalone sci-fi story, it's fantastic. Okay, but I needed the connection beyond like, the Discovery's become sentient. What? And I have no context for any of this, and we don't know why. So if and when it does get brought in, and I think it is going to get brought in, I will probably like Calypso better once I understand the context behind it.
Mm-hmm. That's such an interesting thing, because for me, when I first saw Calypso, I had no idea how it would connect or whatever, but I didn't care. For me, it felt like just a great story that I was really into. But I know for some people, they were like, I wanted to connect to something other than it's on the same ship we've seen, but I don't actually need that connection a lot of the time. It was just, I love the story and the characters, but it's interesting. Okay, so we'll see over the course of the season.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. Okay, so I want to move on. The next topic that I want to talk about, probably my favorite pairing of characters in this episode, and that's Non and Georgiou and their little sequence that they had. I really loved this a whole heck of a lot. I love them walking around the ship. Non had my least favorite line in Star Trek history with Yum Yum back in season 2.
I know.
Okay, but I did really like the sequence with her, and you know what? As I even mentioned last time, as much as I dislike the Arium death, I really liked her justification for wanting to stay on the ship as a way to honor Arium's sacrifice. I buy that for this character. I like this character a lot. Non is my favorite addition to the show right now. Nice. Bring more of her. She's a main character. Her name is in the main character credits.
Now. Yeah,
you know, this is wonderful, and I'm so looking forward to this.
Oh yeah. I'll talk about Non for a little bit, because I love Non. I think she's a great character. Loved her in season 2. Is happy to see her in season 3, and that she's like a regular. But also, like, one of the things I wasn't even thinking about the first time I saw the episode, and I'll just quote it here because I think it's great. She says, "I stayed for Arium. She was a science officer, but she paid the price of a soldier. I felt like somebody should honor that, a life for a life, you know." And then, like, it took me a while, or somebody mentioned it, to realize it was Non that ejected Arium into space. I'd forgotten about that. So it has that like that double meaning. Like, I was forced to take her life, so I felt like I had to do something in return. It was like wonderful, and I think Non is a really kind of interesting character, right? She's a Barzon who we only saw a little bit in the TNG episode The Price, and like there's just something about, like, I don't know, the way she thinks about things, and she was on the Enterprise before, and there's just something, I don't know, I can't define it sometimes, but there's something I really like about the character. And yeah, just talking with Georgiou, there was just kind of this sense of them kind of just talking about their worldviews and how they felt, and like coming to some kind of understanding, which is interesting. So yeah, I love that.
She's in the Enterprise War book.
That's right.
And you know, I had trouble giving her too much of an arc. Because she's only in chunks of what I knew to be in season 2 here and there, and in fact there was a bit of a question mark going through whether she was security or whether she was engineering, because she's called an engineer when she is beamed to the Discovery in the very beginning. But promptly, she's doing security work, and so I decided to back that together and have her be, part of the militarization of Starfleet that's going on at this time. That she's both the engineer and she's security.
And in this episode, Saru has her supervise the repairs. That's more the engineering part.
And that's why I was glad to see that come back. I think basically she's a military engineer. And so that's there. So yeah, it is good to see her getting to do more.
Yeah,
Chrissy.
I enjoy the character. I want to know more about her. I think the scene in the turbo lift between her and Georgiou show that they're both no BS kind of characters in very different ways and for very different reasons.
Yeah, very straightforward for different reasons and purposes. Yeah.
And neither of those characters are part of this family. Neither of those characters are Discovery people. They're both from somewhere else.
Yeah.
They're refugees.
You know, an interesting thing that I found is the interaction between Georgiou and Linus, that one little scene that they had. I truly love that, and I think that's my favorite moment in the episode, is when, which is interesting, though, because of how the Terrans treat alien species. I thought that was a really interesting scene. But my favorite line of dialogue is when Georgiou goes off arm in arm with Linus, and she just turns to Non and is like, "See you later," right? I don't know. I just... I love that line so much. I'm like, are they going to sleep together? Like, what's going on here?
I don't know. And she made a big deal about, like, oh, you have big eyes. You must have a big visual spectrum. Like 74,000 nanometers. Yeah. Like, like, how are you going to use? I don't know. What are you going to use that for? But I thought that too. I was like, yeah, are they just going to go on a date or something? What is going on? and then you find out later, like, they went there for repairs. And then Georgiou was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go down over here, and tells Linus that, and she just disappears. But I don't know if they'll pick that up later. It's like, what's going on? But I love Linus. I think it's
yes, I'm looking forward to seeing more of him.
Awesome. Yeah. John, anything on Linus there?
He's to date, he's kind of been a comic relief character, so we'll see what happens with him.
Yeah, I love that. I love that sequence. I thought it was really cool. So, okay, so let's talk a bit about the bridge crew, because we did get some expansion of the bridge crew here, and we are in for some kind of major arc for Detmer.
Yeah.
So, Chrissie, I wanted to get your impressions first on this. What did you think of the expanding knowledge of the bridge crew and the expanded sequences with them? But tell us a little bit about what you think about what's coming along with Detmer.
Yeah, I think it's a very good thing we're going to flesh out the bridge crew more, and we have an opportunity to do some really good character studies here, because they're stuck in this place, they're going to be dealing with this, and it's going to bring out who they are. There's a saying, I don't know where it comes from, my mother always says it, about adversity doesn't create character, it shows you character that they already have. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it as well as she does, but you get the idea. And so I'm looking forward to that. Now, Detmer, my first thought was just simple injury. You know, she bonked her head where the augment piece is, where she had already been injured once. That's why she has it. But then when the doctor says she doesn't have a concussion and tells her she's good to go, now I don't know. And so I'm thinking, where I think this might be going is that she has some kind of PTSD or guilt over the fact that she was at the helm when people died or were injured because of, and that she's thinking it's because of how she handled the crash landing or something like that, or the passage through time.
Yeah, because it really hits her hard when she's in sickbay and you see one of the alien crew members and she's like, so they're dead? Like, she's feeling like maybe that's it. Maybe I could have done better with that. But I was thinking about PTSD as well, because she's been through a lot. We don't know what the original injury was that got her there. But then anybody that's been with the Discovery since, season 1, my goodness, they've been through some traumatic stuff, right? Yeah. Without having much chance to pause. So, yeah.
And everybody they ever knew is dead, folks.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah.
Pretty much.
And if you think across the Star Trek universe who could still be alive, it's very few people conceively.
So, I mean,
but everybody that they would have known probably are dead. Yeah.
They're all dealing with,
I think they haven't quite come to terms with that yet.
They haven't had time
I think they haven't had time to, but I hope there's a time to acknowledge like all of the family and all of the friends that we ever knew have been dead for many centuries, and that's very disturbing, right? Yeah.
Right. They never told us how long Denobulans lived, so I'm still hoping for a Phlox cameo.
That would be hilarious if Phlox is like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm like, 1,200 years old." The only person I was thinking... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, hasn't he shown up in all of the autobiographies so far?
Yes, I think
so
he has.
At least
you're right.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, really long-lived species are,
Dax, maybe?
Well, I mean, I think we know that from what we've seen in the episodes, we will see Trill, and Trill symbionts are some of the ones that would have memories from that time, presuming that they can be that old. I think in the books it's established they can be like tens of thousands of years, but it's never been established on screen that it's more than maybe a couple hundred years for symbionts. But if so, then that's the key to what happened.
Linus might still have some family around. And I say that pulling from my paleontology roots here. We don't actually know how long dinosaurs lived, and I'm assuming he's dinosaur derived. They call the species a saurian. So it's entirely possible that he has close relatives or, the immediate descendants of close relatives who are still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if a Vulcan can live 300 years, presumably you should give some species the ability to live 1,000, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, tortoises.
Yeah.
Whatever Yoda is.
Whatever Yoda is. There you go.
Oh, that would be quite a crossover. No.
Oh, sweet. We're going to get a crossover between The Mandalorian and Discovery. I love it. Confirmed here. Confirmed by John Jackson Miller.
No, I don't think anybody ever thought that was even remotely possible, but who knows?
Anyways, so I think Detmer, it's going to be a PTSD thing, and I think it's going to tie back to her original injury, and I think we're going to finally get the story of how she originally got injured between episodes 2 and 3 of the show. So.
Yeah, because I mean, like you may have mentioned it, Chrissy, but like the injury itself is like right across, like right behind the implant, so that could have triggered something from that trauma. But yeah, I hope we do. I think we'll find out more about that. So yeah,
I just hope she hasn't been taken over by a computer.
I don't. Yeah, think so.
I don't. Somebody else said that. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so, but I'm putting it out there. I hope it's not.
Arium 3.0. John, let's do the dance. Let's try and do the non-disclosure dance. Any thoughts on where you think they might be going with the with Detmer?
I can tell you with absolute certainty there will be another episode of Star Trek Discovery on next week, and then the week after, and then the week after.
How many weeks in advance can you confirm?
And I'm pretty sure that all of them will have characters in them.
Awesome.
And I would assume some of them are characters we've seen.
Excellent. Yes.
But I don't know. I and more to the point, I don't remember. One of the things that's happened here is because of if this show had been a summer release, which I think was what it was originally.
Right.
What they were talking about, I might have a more recollection of what what might go on, but I don't even want to make it's
okay.
I know that my book doesn't collide with anything. That's all I'm responsible for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So with this episode, did anybody else think of the season 2 episode when they were half in and half out of the spore drive space? I can't remember what it's called there. Mycelium Network.
I did think about that a little bit.
When they were in the snow, in the ice?
You know what I thought about as well is the Voyager episode Timeless, where the alternate Voyager like crashes into this icy landscape. It made me think of that. But yeah, like a little bit for whatever, I even forget the name of the episode. They're like half in the network and half out. Yeah. Parasitic ice, though. What's that?
Parasitic ice, yeah. So my only problem with the end of the episode when they got out I said this in another chat group is, like Michael Burnham coming to the rescue at the end, right? Like we know that this is Michael's show, right? We know that this is the Michael Burnham show. But what I would like to have seen is the crew themselves figuring a way to get out of the situation, getting out of the situation, and then encountering the ship, thinking that it's one of the competitors of Zera, and finding out it's Michael Burnham. I would have appreciated that more rather than having Michael Burnham come to the rescue at the very end. Because these are competent crew members. They are capable of getting out of the situation. Like that doesn't even change the episode by making that minor change. I don't think in any way.
I don't know about that. I mean, and maybe this is just a difference that we have because Burnham's my favorite character on Discovery. Loved her since the beginning. And I know to an extent it has to do with events that, she's important in or driving or whatever, right? But I liked that there was actually some symmetry here between the season 1 episode 3 episode called Context is for Kings, where the Discovery is tractoring her shuttle that she's in to take her into Discovery. Now it's flipped around so that she is the one helping the Discovery out of something. Because I love Burnham as a character, I like that. But I think they were getting them into a situation that they would have difficulty finding a way out of, and I actually would have had a bigger problem if they could find a way out of it because they'd set it up as such an intractable problem. I think it made sense that they needed help from somewhere else, but they could have gotten help from the competitor and then Burnham comes to rescue or something, but it worked for me. I liked it, but that's my bias.
But it wasn't that impossible a problem. It was just a ticking clock is all it was. It was just a ticking clock.
It was an impossible problem.
I didn't interpret it that way.
No. Well, I mean, again, going back to Enterprise War, these ships are not designed to do these things without some time. I think I don't know from this episode. I assume this is like 48 hours they've been there. it's not a long time. And so
I think it's less than 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would assume it's less than a day, but we don't know how long a day is on the planet,
and
right?
so, I was actually kind of happy having seen, having written it in Enterprise where we're, and again, I did set it up that way where it took 5 months. I gave the crew members the win. I gave the crew members got to be the ones that got it off the planet. And then Una shows up and makes moot their escape. Only after that, if I had moved her back earlier, and she had come to the rescue, it would have made all of the efforts of the characters for the 5 months. All it would have taken is, and I think we get it. I think we get some kind of a line where it's like, this is happening too fast. We can't get out of this. This is too late. We're doomed. Their best efforts are not going to be good enough. I think we got that line or something like that in there somewhere in this episode. That's just my thought.
When I'm watching it, all that I'm seeing as their final obstacle is there's just too much ice over the ship, and
it's a living thing, so it's going to absorb them. It's actively acting against them, and now nobody explains exactly what it is or how, but
I think it's also not meant to just like take off vertically from a planet. I don't think it's designed that way.
There's and again it depends on exactly what's where on that version of the ship, but as I said, I had all the blueprints out for on the saucer section. The impulse drive only points out the back, so there's if your thrusters aren't going, you're not going anywhere.
Sorry, Brandon.
Excellent. No, that's fine. That's Chrissy. What do you think about Michael coming to save the day? That's fine. Disagree with me all you want.
I think my sense is just that there wasn't enough time. There's the story time.
But that's just it though. It's just a ticking clock. By the end of it, it's just a ticking clock.
But by the end of the ticking clock, the ship gets crushed. That's bad.
Yeah, I didn't read that. Yes, they had to get out of the ice before it enveloped them, but also they needed to... The ice was hindering their ability just to lift off, which was a problem in and of itself. Mm-hmm. So the idea that somebody comes in and uses a tractor beam to get them that much further, it's like if she'd been there 2 minutes later, would they have already gotten up off the ground? Probably. Mm-hmm. So I didn't think anything of it either way.
Have we seen what it looks like when Discovery sets down on a planet? Anywhere?
We've only intentionally? No.
No, I don't think so. I mean, the closest analogy I was thinking of was, I think it was toward the end of season 1 where they jumped to like a cave inside Kronos, but they're just holding station. They're not actually sitting down.
I worry about, because I have to worry about, I worry about how that works. I worry about how is the propulsion system doing this? And the problem with a TV show is, again, unless you're doing a procedural in the form of The Martian, there's no way to act, or Apollo 13. You can't really make plot points out of all of this stuff. We're pointed the wrong way, or we don't have this, or we don't have that. That problem. If you're writing the novelization of this, you have all the time in the world to do that.
Right.
You have all the time in the world to explain that. You have all the time in the world to explain carnivorous ice. But I think what this episode is about things are hitting them so fast they don't have time to even worry about it. And carnivorous ice is, well, that's just the latest thing. I mean, it's bugbears, it's the swarm, it's the whatever it happens to be, and it almost doesn't matter. The clock is ticking, and so anyway, I cut it a bit of a break as far as that's concerned. No, the bigger thing about her showing up is it's been a year. Yeah. I mean, that's right. That's supposed to be the surprise of the end. That's not that she showed up, but that she showed up a year later.
And let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that's interesting, because I have a friend at work that we talk about Star Trek stuff, and he's not as plugged into like watching all the previews and all that stuff. And I was like, was that a surprise to you? He's like, yeah, it was a surprise, and it was a year later and all that. And I'm like, for me, I've seen these previews where we see Burnham with like longer hair and time has passed. I was surprised it was only 1 year. I thought it would be longer.
Right, yeah.
But it's interesting to see the perspective with, like, we're really plugged into this stuff, and somebody who's more of a casual fan that was like, yeah, that was a total twist. Didn't expect her to show up in the second episode. Didn't expect time to have passed. So,
yeah.
Because they're working with both audiences, right? Yeah.
Right. So with this year time passing, I want to ask you guys this question here, okay? So I think that, yes, they've gone on location to Iceland to film this stuff here, but I actually think that they've done this for a reason. I think that they're still on the same planet, and something has happened to this planet in the past year, and that's why all these asteroids are all floating around and stuff like this. What do you think? Do you think that this is the same planet or not?
It's possible, because, I mean, you think about if you do this with Earth and one person landed in Florida and another person landed in Siberia, it's a very different environment.
Yeah. Well, but I think your question is actually answered, Brandon, by something that Burnham says. At the end, she says, I landed here a year ago. I've been waiting for you all of this time. So, and I hadn't connected it until now, but I think it is the same planet, and something happened in the last year. And specifically, like when their discovery comes through the wormhole, there's something that looks like a moon or a planet or something that has a chunk out of it, right? And presumably that's where those chunks came to go into the atmosphere. So I think absolutely, and they specifically gave it a different name, the colony, instead of Hema like we had before. So I tend to think, based on what Burnham says, landing here, that it's the same planet.
They also reference the market. That's not called the market. The exchange.
Yeah.
Which
might be like the mercantile.
Not necessarily the same, but
Yep.
But I mean, planets have different settlements, so right, this is on a different side of the planet, presumably. And you would think if she had been like, I don't know, I guess placed to, well, this gets into the preview for next week, so I won't go into that. But yeah, she somehow found her way back here, and relatively quickly has been able to find them because she's on the same planet. So,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking here. John, what do you think? Do you think this is the same planet?
What planet?
That's no planet.
No, I won't hazard a guess. I'm wondering about people that thought that this episode was going to have a different name.
Oh yeah, part 2. We're speculating that that's in season 4. Because I think we've seen the titles for the rest of the season and none of them are part 2. But yeah, like
Chrissie actually had a better theory, I think. I think she just thinks that they're trolling the audience, and it's just a joke to Mel Brooks's
History of the World Part 1 that had no Part 2.
Yeah, and I heard that.
Leonard Part 6.
And I couldn't believe that I didn't think of that last week, because I literally show Mel Brooks' History of the World to my Western Civ students every semester. And I didn't think of that. I heard somebody else mention it. I went, mind blown, of course.
It's good to be the king.
We may never get a part.
It is good to be the king.
we may never, but and I was listening to a podcast where somebody was talking about it, and they were like we know we're seeing the correct episode this week, but what about somebody 10 years from now who's rewatching it and they're like, is an episode missing? Where's part 2? Because you've never had that in Star Trek where part 1 didn't have part 2.
I think you and I were listening to the same thing, Justin. I think it was Positively Trek. I think it was those guys. Yeah.
Oh, that's probably what it was. Yeah. So, which is funny to think about.
So we could get it later on next year in season 4 or whatnot. We could never get it. I mean, I just finished watching The Haunting of Bly Manor, and I mean, like, that's the only other comparison that I could give when we were speculating is that I think it's like episodes 3 and 6 are called Two Faces Part 1 and Two Faces Part 2, and they're separated by a few episodes, right? So that's the only thing that I could think of.
Or maybe it's a crazy crossover Strange New Worlds episode that you get Part 2. That'd be crazy.
Get it later on.
Yeah.
Well, they did that on Empty Nest and Golden Girls. They had a 2-parter that crossed the series that took place in a.
But they live next door to each other. That's easier.
Actually, that was a 4-part. Thursday night, starting. No, I'm serious. I remember this vividly. Starting with those two, and then or was it a Thursday and a Friday? I don't know. It ended up there was the power was out on Friends. It was the first season, and I think the power was out on Mad About You too. And so it was all brought together.
Yeah. has been your 90s
Yeah.
TV history.
Was
lesson.
Friends on at the same time as Golden Girls and Empty Nest?
No, there's two different things. There's the hurricane and there's the blackout.
Okay.
The hurricane is in Golden Girls and Empty Nest, and whatever the other show was. The blackout was in Friends, Mad About You, whatever the show was that was in the rocking chair position in between the two of them that always got canceled. I can't remember what it was. So something like a ladies' man or something like that. Well, no, it wasn't Boston Common. I love that show, by the way. And then they wanted Seinfeld to be in it, and Jerry said no.
Okay, now I remember. Yeah,
That's funny.
I feel there was one other that had the hurricane too, but I don't.
I can't remember what it was.
Listeners who were watching NBC television in the early '90s, let us know.
I feel like Brandon on these podcasts. On these podcasts, we get in more Golden Girls references than any other Star Trek podcast. So
probably.
We're going to continue doing that too because it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
excellent.
Okay,
so wrapping up here with some final thoughts. Quick question for you guys: who crashed the ship better, Troy or Detmer?
Troy
Both of them got it safely down.
Disagree with your premise. And Detmer didn't crash it either. Also not her fault.
Okay, so I did a poll. Okay, so John doesn't know this here. So I did a poll online, and I'm glad we got some response with it. It's almost done right now, but I brought it up. Star Trek Discovery poll. Do you think we will find out that Michael Burnham was involved in instigating the burn somehow? And as of this, we've got 212 votes. 61% say no, 39 say yes, and it's been a 60-40 split the whole time. So
I'm part of that 60% that says no. I don't think we're going there.
I couldn't vote, but I'm in the yes. So,
or you wouldn't have done the poll.
I have all polls muted right now, and I have to say if anybody wants to know how things are viewed differently in the future as right now, I mean, I always say that no one will ever watching TNG Unification Part 1. Or Part 2, rather, no one will ever have the experience again watching it now of understanding that came out the weekend before Trek 6 and that we thought from the trailer that Kirk was dead.
Yep.
No one will ever have that feeling. And no one will ever again have the feeling of knowing when they watch CBS All Access, if they did not do like what I did and pay the tax-deductible additional $3 to not have the ads on, nobody will ever know that this episode was with campaign ads.
Was it?
Well,
it's the best money that I spend having it ad-free.
Yeah. Oh, no, I assume that it's all there because, like as I say, I paid the extra $3 or whatever it is.
Of course,
yeah.
Awesome, excellent.
Okay. So
well, I don't think I have any more points on the show that I want to bring up, but I'll open it up to you guys here. John, is there any last final thoughts that we haven't talked about on the episode yet that you'd like to address?
Everybody needs to go by Die Standing if they want to see more. If they want to see more of Giorgio kicking ass or Giorgio kicking ass.
It's a great novel.
I mean, her head was a challenging place to spend an entire. It was this time
probably a disturbing place too.
Yeah, this time a year ago I was working on it. I mean, I had written the Lost Tribe of the Sith series for Star Wars, but those stories I wrote them all like 4 months apart. So I was able to give my brain a bath in between each one, and it was not like living with somebody who was constantly. Constantly suspicious and sarcastic and everything else all the time. But it was the way the character interacted with everybody else that was so fun. And the Dax character that's in the book, and Finnegan, of course. Finnegan just turned 85 on Friday, by the way, the actor who plays him. So
yeah.
So that's kind of cool that he's still with us. But yeah, I am delighted that I got to do the episode here that turned out to be a showcase for her in this in this first part of the season.
Yeah. Chrissy, any final thoughts? Anything we haven't touched on?
I have a question to pose to everybody, and then I have a little history corner thing. So,
Chrissy's history corner.
Coming back. Do question first, though. Okay. And I wrote this down as I was watching it the second time. Is Giorgio's desire to restore comms purely about finding Michael, or does she have plans to contact someone? Is there a time travel contingency in Section 31? Is she hoping to find a place she can take over, or is she hoping to get back to her universe? So just...
Well, we know Section 31 is coming.
So I'm just putting that out there. Yeah. I don't have answers to any of that, but I feel like it was more
Why not?
Michael.
I will say that there was a line Giorgio had, I like jumping from universe to universe, that almost made me feel like, is she going to find some way to jump to a different alternate universe that Section 31 show is going to take place in? Is there a time travel component? I mean, I think sometimes people were assuming like, oh yeah, she'll go back to the 23rd century, but maybe Section 31 gets resurrected by her in the 32nd century. We don't know. So like, there's lots of interesting questions there, Chrissy, but I don't really have the answer to any of them.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But yeah, just for people who haven't heard a lot about the Section 31 show lately, there was an interview recently with Bo-Young Kim and Erica Leopold, who are kind of the, I guess, producers
showrunners
on this.
Showrunners
on Section 31. It's on a podcast I really like, I haven't talked about here, called All the Asians on Star Trek. It's a great podcast. But anyway, they got interviewed on there, and they were talking about Section 31 and what they've been doing. So they've been working on it. It's going to come. We just don't know when. But yeah, they're building up towards something. I want to say one thing about Giorgio, though. I thought it was totally gross that she walked out in the corridor with like Leland's body like on her chest and shoes. I could have done without that.
Oh, really?
Yes. What about the scooping? Did you like the scooping of the guy, Justin?
I was very grossed out by the scooping, but I definitely laughed at him saying my name's Gene, actually, instead of just hazmat guy. There was a Lower Decks feel to that scene, actually.
Definitely.
Well, I have a scoop and actually a correction and an apology to Chrissy. Hurricane Saturday was 1991. And the third show was the other Susan Harris show. It was Nurses.
I forgot about Nurses.
Everybody did.
And
the show in Blackout Thursday was in the rocking chair was Madman of the People, which was Dabney Coleman for a very, very brief time.
I don't even remember that one.
That's funny.
No.
That's okay. That's fine. I knew it was 91 because I knew it was the last season. So that one. But...
Yeah, and I just I always think that Golden Girls is such an 80s thing. I just
it is for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, I was 6 and 7 year old Brandon loved nothing better than watching older women talk about their sex lives and joking and having supper in front of the TV. That was my show.
You know, I'll just say this. This is how much I was into the Golden Girls. I would actually take my tape recorder and I would tape the audio and listen to it later.
I love it.
I can believe that. I know I've heard people doing that for Star Trek in the 70s, but I did that in the 80s with Golden Girls.
Well, I mean, that was a Susan Harris show, and I remember when I went to see Ethan Phillips at a convention like 20 years ago. I brought him my Benson cast photograph, which was another, and he's like, I never am asked about that. So.
That's funny.
But again, that's also Star Trek Central there because you got Rene Aubergenois.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
And Golden Girls almost runs concurrent with TNG. I think it's like a year off. So
almost.
So Justin, any final thoughts on the episode?
Final thought is I love it, but I also have several things I wanted to mention. Sorry.
You go and then I'll go and then.
Okay, so Stamets. I want to talk about Stamets. I love the character, but they put him through a lot. Okay, so in the first season, he goes into like this coma, and he's kind of in the mycelial network and has to get out and is suffering through all that, right? Then in the second season, he gets impaled by something on Discovery, and he's in a coma when you meet him in season 3. Then he gets out of the coma, and he's in the Jeffries tube with Reno directing him, and there's an explosion, and his blood, he gets injured again. I'm starting to think that Stamets is the O'Brien of Discovery, and it's like Stamets must suffer because the guy has been through so much.
Don't they have like ensigns or something to do any of this?
Reno said as much.
Well, they suggested Nilsson do it, but he's like, no, I got it. Oh man, but he was injured.
I did appreciate.
I was just getting. Go ahead. I was just getting the sense that they're going to keep making him
I think the engineer in the Jeffries tube has got to be like the captain going down with the away team. They've got to just start saying no. Right. No, that's not your job, sir.
It did show us how much he is a theoretical and not practical engineer, because she had to walk him through what amounted to changing a fuse. It reminded me of that.
And by the way, I love he was using something called a multi-tool, which just, there's no special name. It's just multiple uses. Anyway, a couple other things. One of the things that really struck me in this episode was at the beginning when Saru said, "We are completely disconnected at present. Yes, but we are also together and alive." And that means so much more this year when we're dealing with coronavirus and quarantine and all of that. And all of us are like kind of disconnected, but together on this podcast. There was something that really totally resonated for me in a way that they probably weren't even thinking about when they wrote it. So I wanted to point that out. Also, when Saru leaves that scene, Reese takes the con. So that's cool. I want to see him, I don't know, doing some captaining when people are away. Let's see what else. Giorgio says something. Well, they find at one point there's a scan where there's new elements they haven't seen before, and Giorgio specifically says, "Oh, a new elemental table to work with." So there's going to be something maybe with new elements that helps them with the burn, is what I was thinking. Let's see. I'm almost done with my list. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. That's literally the point of this.
To just have random stuff I talk about. So a couple other things. One of the things that they touched on last week, but maybe I had talked about, I think we'll see Burnham's mother somewhere during the season. Maybe. I hope. I don't know. But she's supposed to be there at the same time as them. Let's see what else. Also, it was very striking. You talked about this a little, John, but, you know, Zera is a very smart villain, and he's like, aha, you've got old tech and gravimetric waves and gamma rays, you know, preceded your entry, so it must be time travel. And I'm thinking last week they had said, you know, time travel's illegal, all the equipment's been destroyed for it, but he must be pretty familiar with it. So I think there's some, you know, I wouldn't quite call it black market, but like illegal time travel going on that we're going to see later in the season. That just made me think like they dropped that for a reason, that he was familiar enough to put it together. Like, I've seen this in my lifetime before. So that is all.
All right.
Cool. Excellent. Right on. And Justin, you want to touch on the canon connections?
Oh, yeah. There were a couple of other connections. So let's see. We talked about that. One of the things, they needed rubidium for the translator, first referenced in the TOS episode Patterns of Force. So that was a cool pull. Stamets is in the cellular regeneration chamber. Maybe it was because somebody joked about it in a review I read, but it's makes me think of the cellular entertainment chamber from In the Cards on Deep Space Nine with the crazy guy, but I know it's not the same. But also, we talked about the Coordinates, but also like the Western feel, you know, of course, has a great Star Trek tradition, Spectre of the Gun, Fistful of Datas, North Star, all that stuff. So I really like that. Saru got to use his spikes that he has post Fahari, which is awesome, which we haven't seen since last year. And I think that covers it. So I guess the other thing is Burnham's going to have to fill them in on like some of the stuff, like what the burn is and all that. But yeah, anyway, I just really look forward to it. I'm just so excited having rewatched this for like what comes next.
I don't think Burnham knows what the burn is yet.
Well, she knows that it has something to do with dilithium exploding, and the Discovery crew do not know that part.
Right. So
yeah.
Any final thoughts? Just anything else?
Me? I'm good. Thank you.
Good. Chrissy, anything else?
Perfect.
Oh, yeah. Let's get back to that.
The burn made me think of the collapse of the Western Roman Empire, because you have this situation where you have a very large entity that collapses due to various calamities and over a lot of time, and we won't get into all that. But 476, basically, that's the end of the Western Roman Empire. And you have petty kings that pop up. You have the Merovingians show up in what will become France. You have the Vandals have taken over Spain. You've got all these Germanic peoples that are taking over various parts of Europe. And they're all mostly independent, but they all also have this idea of what Rome was, and they try to get back to it. So they try to recreate the idea of Rome, and they try to connect themselves to what's left of Rome, which is the Eastern Roman Empire, centered on Constantinople, soon to become Byzantium. Mm-hmm. And that stays around for another 1,000 years. And they try to connect, but it never quite works. And then we have Charlemagne in 800 who starts calling himself the Holy Roman Emperor. And he just says, well, it's just Rome. We just keep going. And that lasts until 1806. So that's a whole other thing. But we don't know how. So I think we have this situation where we are. It feels very much like the West after the collapse of Rome. But we don't know how much of the Federation is left and where it is. We could have a Federation Constantinople sitting out there that is not in a position to have an effect on these areas that used to be under its control. So I'll be interested to see as we go on in the season how that works.
That's a great point, because there could be all kinds of little pockets, right? Like if they get disconnected because they can't go to warp as easily. I mean, we're told in the 24th century the Federation spans 8,000 light years, which is a huge amount of territory, and it could be more by the 30th century or something when this happens. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what the landscape is out there for sure, and that's a good analogy. Yeah.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, my final thoughts are simply, if this is the same planet, what did Burnham do to blow up half of it? John, thank you so much for joining us today for the discussion. Where can listeners find you online? And aside from Die Standing, what upcoming projects can you mention?
The next book out comes out, I guess, second week in November. It is that other universe. This is Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back from a certain point of view. This is the 40th anniversary hardcover book for Empire Strikes Back with 40 short stories by different authors, all tying into a different moment in the movie and going forward with it. We've revealed that my story is called Lord Vader Will See You Now. And it is about Ray Sloan, the character that I created in the Star Wars: A New Dawn novel, to sort of be, the typical person who came of age in the time of the Empire. But unlike many of her comrades, she's competent, and this character has been carried through many other stories, both by me and other people. But I got to put her in an important role in the movie itself. So that's kind of cool. And so that is coming out in audiobook, ebook, and hardcover that second week of November. I don't know yet who is narrating the audiobook. My guess is it will probably be January Lavoie, who did the Die Standing audiobook, which is outstanding. I just listened to that, and she does just wonderful voices for Giorgio and Dax, and then also for Finnegan. So at any rate, that's all I can talk about that is coming up. And I'm always writing other things, and we'll see where we are. Next time we do one of these, I'll be able to say what I've been doing in the last year.
Awesome. And on Twitter, you are?
JJM Faraway, John Jackson Miller on Facebook, and farawaypress.com is my website. I also run the website Comicron, COMICHRON.com. That is the comics history site that I do that keeps track of all the sales figures in comics going all the way back to the early 1960s.
That's right. And we talked about that at STLV, I think.
yeah. So that's yet another one of the things I do. And so as soon as I get off this podcast, I've got to work on the sales numbers for September 2020 because the books keep coming out.
Nice. Excellent.
Nice.
And then if anybody wants to listen to John talk about something a little different, John and I did a podcast with friend of the show, Nicholas Anastasiou, about 3 years ago on melodic treks over on Trek FM. John had written a short story in a Planet of the Apes anthology, which is fantastic, and every chance I can to mention it, buy this if you like the ape stuff. Such a great story. Such great stories are in this book. The episode number is 76. It's called Rhymes with Logan, because we talked a little bit about how it's with the movie Logan. It's something similar there. And we talked about Escape from the Planet of the Apes and the music from Escape from the Planet of the Apes in particular for that podcast. So that was a whole lot of fun. Justin, where can people find you when you're not scraping Leland off your boots?
I'm never doing that. Giorgio.
Oh, you leave Hazmat to do that for you.
Yeah, what was his name again? I forgot.
Hazmat Oser.
Don't tell me. No. I'm not doing
Hazmat Oser. There's the H.
Moving on, you can find me on Twitter. I'm a TrekFan4747, where I tweet about nothing but Star Trek, and I don't tweet about Leland on my boots ever. You can also find me on our Federation... Sorry, did I say Federation? Our Facebook group. It's not the Federation yet. Federation Council Chambers, where you can join us and talk about this episode and others on the United Federation of Podcasts, so please join us there.
Chrissy, where can people find you when you're not snuggling up to Linus, examining his eyes and his amazing visual
All right,
spectrum?
well...
74,000 nanometers.
You guys know from having listened previously that you can find me on Twitter at the Goddess Livia. That's TheGoddessLivia. But in lieu of giving out all of that other information this week, I'm just going to encourage everybody to go vote. You have early voting that's still available in many states. There are a few states that have same-day registration, so check on that. If you're not registered, you may be able to register and vote at the same time. And you can go to vote411.org to find out everything you need to know about doing this. Go exercise your civic duty. Go vote. I'm not going to tell you how you should vote. If you listen to this, you know how I think you should vote. We'll just leave it at that. Okay. But vote toward the Federation future.
Yeah.
Without having World War III first.
Well,
tipping your hand a bit.
Extra points for the I Claudius reference in the Twitter handle there.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah,
first guest to get that.
Yeah, I run into three people ever who I didn't have to explain it to. Fantastic.
Well, no, there's a whole section in Die Standing about the character in my book recreating the Tiberius's castle at Capri and
the villa,
not castle, but his and there's reference to how bad a guy Tiberius really was, and this all came up in my research, and I was like, and I knew some of it, but I was like, I read this all, and I'm like, maybe Kirk should change his middle name.
Yeah, well, we can.
That's funny.
Yeah. One of Lydia's
the eldest and the worst of them. But we'll have to have a infinite diversity sub discussion about I Claudius sometime. See, that shows you. Die Standing sitting on the front page of my e-reader, but I have not had a chance to read it yet. So my apologies, but
Chrissy.
The Roman Empire is everywhere in this book. And actually, if you want to go back even further, that Lost Tribe of the Sith book I did, which
I haven't read, but I'm familiar.
Whether you do Star Wars, whether you do Star Wars or not, I have a Claudius equivalent in that book, and he's my favorite character in that entire series. So
nice.
Anyway, thank you guys.
Excellent. And as for me, you can find me on Twitter at Brandon Matella, and I've got my usual places here on the network. I got Franchise Fatigue, which is all about movies, remakes, and sequels, and we are actually in the middle of covering all the Apes movies. We're coming up to the end of those. You can find me over on the Nerd Party with House of Fincher, which will soon be turning into House of Nolan, covering David Fincher's work and Christopher Nolan's work. And also my monthly podcast, Good Evening, an Alfred Hitchcock podcast, where we do one of Hitchcock's films once a month in chronological order. Thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to our executive producers, Ken Tripp, Tony Robinson, and Zach Moore. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Tony Robinson for the awesome show art. Please rate and review us in Apple Podcasts, and please subscribe. If you want to reach out, you can find us on Twitter at UFP Earth or our new Twitter handle of IDIC Podcast. Yeah. That's not so new anymore.
No,
it's been around for a little bit. We also have a Facebook group for the United Federation of Podcasts called the Federation Council Chambers, where you can discuss the episodes for any UFP podcast. Or you can email us at infinitediversity@ufp.earth. On the next episode, we'll be talking about episode 3 of season 3 of Discovery, People of Earth. Until then,
Earth. Sorry.
Until then, peace and long life.
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.
I have to, just because you mentioned George Carlin, because my my childhood, anytime we had to drive anywhere, which was usually like my grandmother's house or something about an hour and a half away, pop the George Carlin cassettes in there. Didn't matter that I was like 7. That didn't care. No, nobody cared.
My older sister would introduce me to these things, and so she played me his album. And for years, I thought Class Clown ended before the last album because she never played me the 7 deadly words. And of course, I later.
Of course. See, this is one of the reasons why I tell people I don't know what's appropriate for children, because my parents were just like, here. And my little sister.
They're just words. I mean, but that's George Carlin's philosophy, though, isn't it? These are
it
just
is,
words.
and it's a good
it
one.
It matters how you use them.
I think it's a good one. But
anyway.
My little sister had the whole 7 dirty words routine down pat when she was 6. She could run it just like, and it was beautiful. And we're just like, don't do that at school, please. Yeah. And it wasn't like she swore in her normal talking, and she didn't get why it was funny that she was saying it, but she had just heard it so many times that's what it is. I saw him twice in concert, and one of the times I ran into my 2nd grade teacher, so that was fun.
Wow, I did not know we would be talking about this.
Well, I live in the state where he was actually arrested for the routine.
Yes.
So that was
okay, funny. Enough for George Carlin. I just had to get my love out for the man.